At this precise moment, as you listen to these words, a crucial decision is being made that concerns you directly. Pay close attention to what we are going to explore together today, because the reality of your situation is actively unfolding right now, silently and discreetly, deep in the heart of someone you know. You probably do not even realize it is happening. You may currently feel incredibly distant from them. You might feel lost, disoriented, or plagued by heavy uncertainty regarding the exact position you hold in their life. On the surface, the dynamic between the two of you seems quiet. It feels unclear, stagnant, and entirely without resolution. But what you cannot see with your eyes is the storm raging beneath that surface. This specific individual is currently facing one of the most defining emotional crossroads of their entire existence. The choice they are standing in front of is not insignificant. It is not something they are doing without deep, exhausting thought. This decision concerns you, and it is not based simply on your name or a casual text message. It is about you as a profound, undeniable presence in their life. They see you as someone who entered their reality with authentic meaning and massive psychological importance. And because of that, they are currently observing something deeply personal and terrifying within themselves. They are actively wondering whether they should brave the unknown and step forward, or surrender to their trauma and retreat into the dark. They are debating whether they have the courage to finally choose you, or if they are going to give in to their own deep-seated fears. They are caught in the agonizing hesitation between holding on to something real and giving up because it feels too heavy to carry. This internal resolution cannot be rushed. You represent a specific chapter that they absolutely cannot close without brutally confronting their own true nature. Right now, this person is waging a quiet, invisible war behind closed doors. Externally, they may seem perfectly normal to the rest of the world. They go to work and flash rehearsed smiles. Yet inside their mind, a chaotic reality exists. Their thoughts constantly return to you at times they never planned for. They are asking themselves incredibly difficult, heavy questions. They wonder if making the choice to step toward you will transform their entire future trajectory. This duality creates massive psychological tension. Specialists in human behavior call this decisional ambivalence. It is a paralyzing state where two opposing forces of equal intensity lock the mind into total inaction. The desire to move forward is perfectly matched by the terror of getting hurt, leaving them frozen in place. Silence is not always synonymous with an absence of feelings. In fact, silence often translates to the overwhelming presence of fear. Some individuals do not show their emotions because they have a deep-rooted terror of losing control. They do not fail to act because they are indifferent to you. They fail to act because caring about someone as deeply as they care about you feels inherently dangerous to their nervous system. The famous psychoanalyst Carl Jung once expressed a profound truth: where your fear is, there is your task. You embody a psychological mission that they simply cannot escape. Their heart naturally draws them to you. They vividly recall how they found a rare, grounding peace in your presence. But their mind fiercely resists. The mind acts as a defensive shield, bringing back old, unhealed wounds. It reminds them of past betrayals and previous failures. their anxious spirit whispers to them to be careful. It constantly questions whether they are strong enough or even worthy of holding on to someone like you. This is the agonizing tension in which they currently live, caught between deep healing and familiar heartbreak, between comfortable security and taking a massive risk. This psychological tension is not unusual. In our modern society, we are constantly confronted with what psychologists call experiential avoidance. This is the tragic human tendency to actively avoid painful internal experiences, even at the expense of our most significant relationships. They are running from the discomfort of vulnerability, even though it means risking the loss of you. Their hesitation is heavily based on internal uncertainty. They deeply fear that by taking too long to figure themselves out, you will eventually walk away for good. This duality keeps them in a state of silent paralysis. They quietly observe your actions from a distance, looking for subtle clues about your state of mind. If you are recognizing this painful psychological loop right now, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We cover these concepts every day, diving deep into the dark psychology of human connection, and you absolutely will not want to miss the tools coming in the next breakdown. Meanwhile, you are sitting on the other side of this dynamic, feeling a strange, heavy distance. You might even start turning the blame inward. Let the truth of this situation sink in. Their withdrawal does not speak about your flaws. It speaks volumes about their own internal fractures. Their silence does not mean that you do not matter. It means they literally do not know how to manage the reality of how much you matter. There is a specific level of profound connection that deeply frightens people because it demands that they drop their protective masks. True intimacy forces them to recognize that they have been walking through life completely incomplete. When someone meets you and feels this rare, undeniable type of soul recognition, it is a terrifying encounter with a mirror. This mirror reflects not only who they currently are, but everything they have the potential to become. That massive potential is beautiful, but it is also terrifying to a mind that is used to playing small. This deep fear of authentic intimacy has its roots in what modern psychology calls attachment injuries. These deep emotional injuries create heavy patterns of protection that persist long into adulthood. These defensive patterns push us to reflexively flee from the exact thing we need the most: true, unfiltered connection. But a massive tipping point has recently occurred. Something has shifted in the dynamic that changes absolutely everything. The exact moment you stopped negotiating your own worth, the situation began to drastically change. The invisible pressure shifted. You stopped chasing. You stopped over-explaining your value. You stopped waiting by the phone. And in the wake of your newfound self-respect, their indecision is now actively eating them alive. They are observing that their hesitation is no longer protecting them. It is isolating them. They are realizing that they need to fundamentally change their usual pattern of running away. You have become a living, breathing symbol, representing a massive fork in the road of their life. One path leads to painful, beautiful evolution. The other path leads to remaining stuck in the cold, familiar dark. Because you have started honoring yourself, They are now forced to face reality. A deep sense of urgency arises when they see that you are no longer waiting around for them to make up their mind. Their internal wall of defense is either going to completely crack open or it is going to harden permanently. Some people will inevitably choose courage and step into the light. This specific moment of truth is what psychologists refer to as a catalyst for post-traumatic growth. It is the precise moment where the pain of remaining the exact same becomes significantly greater than the terrifying fear of change. While they are fighting this internal war, your own personal transformation has been beautiful to witness. You have slowly regained your balance. You have remembered the crucial truth that real love is not something you earn by waiting patiently in the dark. It is something you welcome by simply being your authentic self. When you finally stopped shrinking your life to make room for their indecision, the fog dissipated. The truth is incredibly freeing. You are no longer trapped in the exhausting purgatory between hope and doubt. Your heart and mind are aligned. This personal transformation you are living illustrates perfectly what positive psychology calls self-efficacy. The deep, unshakable belief in your own ability to navigate the events that affect your life. When you stop begging for a connection and start actively embodying your own worth, you fundamentally change the mechanics of all your relationships. This person now deeply knows the price of waiting. Choosing you means choosing to finally participate in life. The resolution to this dynamic is imminent. The answer will inevitably emerge from the truth. If they choose to step up and choose you, you will feel it in your bones. Their energy will be highly focused, consistent, and intentional. They will demonstrate by their physical presence that they deeply care about you. And if they choose to surrender to their fear and leave, that absence will also be a crystal clear answer. You will not have to spend hours interpreting their silence anymore. Sometimes, people genuinely need distance to face their demons and become who they are meant to be. But your life is not on pause, waiting for that to happen. You have actively chosen yourself. You are no longer agonizing over whether they will choose you. You are focused on whether you are happy with yourself. That subtle shift in perspective changes absolutely everything. This newfound wisdom reflects a fundamental principle of humanistic psychology. Your happiness cannot depend on the approval or the delayed choices of others. Your fulfillment must stem entirely from your own center, your own self-esteem, and your own strict alignment with your core values. The true nature of love is not about fear, and it is certainly not about waiting in the wings for someone to decide your worth. True love is about alignment. If someone is genuinely meant to be with you, no amount of internal fear will stop them from reaching you. If they ultimately do not choose you, that does not make you any less valuable. It simply shows you where you need to direct your energy moving forward. So, assert your immense value and move forward in absolute peace. Let sharp clarity take the place of ardent, desperate desire. The most powerful, life-altering decision has always been the one you took regarding yourself, not them. True connection is not a hostage negotiation. It is a mutual, undeniable recognition, a conscious, repeated choice, a firm decision to honor the other person in their entirety. When love is genuine, it does not generate chronic anxiety. It brings grounding clarity, even in the most difficult of times. Right now, as the silence extends, a new level of this journey is beginning to reveal itself to the person who stepped back. They are beginning to recognize that the empty space between you is not actually empty. It is heavily filled with absolutely everything they have been trying to avoid. They are starting to understand that every single time they thought of contacting you, but retreated out of fear, they were letting their shadows win. They are seeing that you were never a problem to be solved, but a beautiful reality to be embraced. The weight of this realization is actively transforming their perspective on their daily life. The superficial things that previously satisfied them now seem entirely hollow. They are beginning to see that by staying in the safety of their comfort zone, they are losing the exact connection that made them feel truly alive. They are examining their life and acknowledging a brutal truth. A heart cannot remain forever in a state of perhaps without eventually withering away. This deep recognition illustrates what therapists call therapeutic insight. It is the profound moment when a person suddenly sees the cold reality of their own destructive patterns with a painful yet ultimately liberating clarity. They are reaching the weariness of their own excuses. The internal psychological pressure is transforming into a desperate need for external movement. They are growing incredibly tired of the lies they tell themselves. They have had enough of the fake stories they spun about the reasons why this could not work. They are noticing that the more they try to push the thought of you away, the more you firmly occupy the dead center of their consciousness. One cannot flee from what has already become a permanent part of their internal landscape. They are beginning to feel a heavy sense of responsibility toward the rare connection itself. They are starting to ask themselves if they were a good guardian of the magic that existed between you, or if they squandered it out of cowardice. This deep introspection is painful, but it is necessary for their growth. They are stripping away the soft, comforting lies that told them they were safer alone in the dark. This process of surrendering to profound questions corresponds to what developmental psychology calls a crisis of integrity. It is a defining moment when a human being must choose between remaining consistent with their deepest values or continuing to live a life of painful contradiction. While they are going through this heavy phase, they are also observing you from afar. They can feel the massive shift in your energy. They sense that you have stopped looking back. There is a very specific type of gravity that emanates from a person who has firmly decided that their own happiness is no longer negotiable. They sense this powerful gravity, and it attracts them deeply. It is no longer you who is desperately reaching out towards them. It is your inherent worth that is silently demanding they rise up to meet you. This is the ultimate test of their character. Will they stay small to remain in the illusion of security, or will they grow enough to hold the love they truly desire? They are beginning to accept that the unhealed version of themselves who entered this connection cannot be the same version who maintains it. They must transform, and this transformation is occurring precisely now, in the silence and in moments of brutal honesty. This silent transformation reflects a fundamental principle of personal growth. We change first from within. In the strict privacy of our own awareness, long before that change ever manifests in our external actions. They are reaching the point where escape is no longer possible. This deep internal process is hitting its breaking point. They can no longer bear the agonizing gap between who they currently are and who they desperately want to be with you. They are starting to understand that their obsession with not making a mistake is actually the biggest mistake they are currently making. They look at the safe, predictable life they have built without you, and they acknowledge that it is a house without warmth. They are beginning to feel a profound sense of loss that is significantly more powerful than their fear of rejection. This is the exact moment when I must finally become stronger than I can't. They see the possibility of a future in which you are nothing but a distant memory, and that thought feels like a physical weight they can no longer carry. They acknowledge that their silence was never a protective shield. It was a prison wall that kept them trapped with a version of themselves they have long surpassed. This painful recognition is what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, pushed to its absolute paroxysm. The severe mental discomfort that occurs when our daily actions no longer align with our deepest, most authentic desires. At the same time, they are experiencing a strange, profound respect for the way you handled this period of distance. They see that you did not fight for their scraps. You did not collapse into a shadow of yourself. This realization makes them desire you even more, but it also makes them acutely aware that they cannot come back to you with the same old, tired excuses. They know that if they return, they must come with absolute honesty and a true plan. They are finally accepting that they will never feel 100% ready, and that the only way to be ready for love is to close your eyes and take the leap. We are never completely prepared for the great challenges of life, but it is precisely by taking action, despite the uncertainty, that we grow into the people we are meant to be. The energy between you is now vibrating with a heavy sense of finality. Something has to give way. The universe does not allow this level of tension to remain eternally unresolved. The emotional work on your end is entirely accomplished. You created the space. You preserved your dignity. Now, the ball is entirely in their court. They are standing on the edge of the precipice, looking down at the path that leads back to you. The next step they take will be the most intentional thing they have ever done. They are stepping out of the shadows and into the blinding light of their own truth. This journey reveals a fundamental truth about mature love. Real love cannot thrive in the soil of fear. It cannot survive in a state of passive waiting. Authentic love requires sharp clarity, immense courage, and above all, profound mutual respect. When we finally stop begging for love and begin to truly embody it, we create a different magnetic field around us. We attract people who are ready to meet us at our high level. This internal transformation is not selfish. It is a necessary requirement for survival. Because how can we possibly offer true, unconditional love to another if we do not fiercely love ourselves first? The person who is hesitating in your life is going through their own necessary journey of growth. Their hesitation is perhaps exactly what they need to endure to transform into someone actually capable of loving you fully. In this waiting period, you have learned valuable insights into your own immense resilience. You have discovered that your value is not determined by whether someone else has the courage to choose you. These discoveries anchor you in your own center of emotional gravity. You become irresistible not through cheap manipulation, but through undeniable authenticity. Your inner peace becomes a beacon that guides others toward their own hidden truths. Your refusal to continue the toxic dance of push and pull has created a new, powerful space. In this space, the truth can finally emerge. By respecting yourself enough to no longer accept chronic uncertainty, you force the other person to confront their inherent ambivalence. This confrontation was absolutely necessary for the final resolution. You have learned to distinguish between pure love and desperate attachment. You have developed what psychologists call detached love. Gray, the rare capacity to love someone deeply while being completely ready to let them go if necessary. This paradoxical form of love attracts far more powerfully than desperate attachment ever could. Your refusal to diminish yourself to accommodate the uncertainty of others sends a massive, undeniable message. You value yourself enough to demand absolute clarity in your relationships. This position is not a manipulative ultimatum. It is the ultimate act of self-respect. This transformation prepares you for all future connections. You are now wearing an armor of wisdom that will permanently protect you from toxic dynamics. We are now approaching the moment of truth. All the psychological forces we have explored converge toward a single point of resolution. The other person can no longer maintain the safe status quo. Their internal resistance system is crumbling in the face of the overwhelming evidence. This realization creates a burning urgency that finally overcomes their fear. If they choose to come back to you, it will be with a clear, focused intention. If they choose to stay in their comfort zone, you will have the absolute clarity necessary to permanently close this chapter and move forward. In both cases, you win. Either you get back a transformed person ready to commit, or you free yourself definitively from a heavy situation that was no longer serving your highest good. What we explored together today is not simply the story of an uncertain relationship. It is the universal history of human growth. You have learned that passive waiting is exhausting, but that active waiting, where one continues to live life to the absolute fullest, is beautifully transforming. True love does not beg, it inspires. You now carry a precious, unshakable wisdom. Your happiness cannot depend on the decisions of others. Your value does not fluctuate depending on whether someone else recognizes it. Whatever this person who occupies your thoughts ultimately decides, you have already won the most important victory of all. You have learned to choose yourself. And that is the exact victory that makes absolutely everything else possible. True love always begins with self-love. All the rest follows naturally. If this deep dive into the psychology of unresolved attachment finally gave you the answers you have been searching for, please click the video right over here on the screen. It perfectly breaks down the next critical stage of emotional detachment, showing you exactly how to protect your own peace moving forward, and you will want to watch it right now. Stay strong, trust your reality, and remember that closure is a choice you make for yourself.